And so after 3 years of that type of confinement, and then on the eve of going to court, being informed by his attorney that the court has decided to seat an anonymous jury to convey the message that this is a very dangerous case, a very dangerous trial, and that we have to do everything in our power to protect the jurors who are going to be sitting in on this case, prejudicing the mind of the jurors even more. And then this young man decides, no doubt at the advice of his attorney, Fahad, if you go to trial and lose, you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison under these types of conditions. But if you are willing to plead guilty to one count, we can assure you a maximum sentence of 15 years. What, I mean, this is almost a satanic choice to have to make. But this is what Fahad was compelled to do. SubhanAllah. This is justice American style. What my elder said is true. As an African American, we understand the duality of this justice system. As an African American, we understand what the meaning of jury nullification is. We saw our people through our sociological experience in this country. We saw, especially in the South, in case after case after case of men and women being killed, sometimes in very horrific ways. They tried to make us believe that America experienced its first major act of terrorism on September 11th, but that is one of the biggest lies ever told. This country has seen decades upon decades of domestic terrorism. Not just human beings who were killed in very horrific ways, sometimes burned at the stake, sometimes women being hung, pregnant women with their stomachs split open and the babies in the womb falling to the ground and being stomped to death. That's right. To instill fear. Whole towns in Florida, in Oklahoma, because of the relative prosperity, even in those difficult conditions of African American communities, envied, whole towns burnt to the ground. We have seen terrorism in this place, in this country. We saw terrorism in 1963 at a church in Birmingham with young little girls who were there in Sunday school. A bomb set off, and these innocent young black babies killed. An act of domestic terrorism. We've seen this, and we know that there have been so many cases where when the perpetrators of these crimes were known, they were known, and in a few cases they were even brought to trial. All white juries would find them innocent. It was called jury nullification. And what we witnessed with Aafia Siddiqui was jury nullification in reverse. We saw a jury that heard the evidence of government witnesses that contradicted themselves so much they should have been charged with perjury. We saw a case where the evidence, the physical evidence, was in her favor. They claimed that she picked up an M4 rifle, a heavy rifle, and fired it at U.S. personnel, FBI, and American soldiers, attempting to murder them while she awaited interrogation, after she mysteriously reappeared after 5 years of rendition in a secret prison. They claimed that she attempted to pick up, she did pick up a rifle. This little sister, who stands about this tall, weighs probably 90 pounds soaking wet, picked up this big, heavy automatic rifle, took the safety off of it and fired it. The only problem with that scenario is that after they did the sweep of the crime scene and collected the evidence for the trial that would take place almost 2 years later, the only shell casings they found on the floor were the shell casings from the automatic sidearms that were used to shoot Aafia. The only person who was shot at the scene was Aafia Siddiqui, shot not just twice, but 3 times. Twice in the stomach, once in the side. Her fingerprints were not on the M4 rifle. There was no gunshot residue on the curtain that she allegedly shot either from behind or next to. And there weren't any M4 impressions in the wall, the ceiling, or the floor. Where did these imaginary bullets go? All of the physical evidence in her favor, and yet at the end of the day, this young mother was found guilty on all charges. This is wrong. I want to say that we as a country have the capacity to be better than this. But the only way we will is if enough people stand up and begin the process of pushback. And that's what this gathering is all about. So ladies and gentlemen, those of you passing by on the sightseeing tour, and everyone else within the sound of our voice, we are here not just for Dr. Aafia Siddiqui, but we are here for the better of the 2 Americas. There is a senator by the name of Senator J. William Fulbright. He is deceased now. Senator Fulbright wrote an illuminating book entitled The Arrogance of Power. I would encourage you to go to the library and get that book. Senator Fulbright, for whom the Fulbright Scholarship is named in honor, he presided over the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, one of the most powerful committees in Congress, longer than any other senator in U.S. history. And from that perch, he wrote that book, The Arrogance of Power, in which he described 2 Americas. An America that is beautiful, and the other America that is ugly as hell. What we have been seeing for much of this nation's history is that ugly America. What we have been seeing post 9/11 is the ugly America. What we have been seeing through most of this country's history is that ugly America. Our goal here is to help the America that we would like to think of as the real America, as Aafia pointed out in her comments in the court. This sister, her heart is so big. Her heart is so big that in her comments she even forgave. She was forgiving in what she said about what had happened to her. She said that what happened to her and what has happened to so many other Muslims is not really reflective of the real America. This is the other America. This is the other America. And so what we are doing here is we are standing for that America that we hope still has a presence. The other America that still has a flicker of life. And we want to do what we can. We want to do as much as we possibly can to fan that flicker and cause it to become a flame of justice for us all. We want to make the indoctrination that our children get from elementary school on, from kindergarten on, through the Pledge of Allegiance, that indoctrination that ends with liberty and justice for all. We want to put flesh to it. We want to make it real. And the only way we're going to do that is that we stand up and we push back. So